Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another 6 minutes of meaning, where we are hopefully giving you a thought to think about that is short, concise, sweet, and meaningful in these days leading up to Pesach. We have been looking at the 10 plagues, and over the last number of weeks, we've been going one at a time. I'd like to approach the 9th plague, Hoshech, darkness. You know, we have been incrementally putting more and more pressure upon Egypt to the point where it is getting so desperate, it's so dreadful, it's so awful. We're actually stuck a little bit and scratching our heads at the plague of Hoshech, thinking, hang on a second, it doesn't seem so bad. Blood, frogs, lice, plague of death of animals, wild animals. Turning off the lights, what's the big deal? And if we take a look at the verses, there is something very powerful that can be seen. There was a dark thickness upon all Egypt for 3 days. And this darkness is so dark. It was palpable. The sense here that the Torah is giving us is that it wasn't just that there was an absence of light. It wasn't just that someone had switched off the power to the house. Even in the dark of night, you go outside your home, even when you're not in the city and there are no streetlights, there is still the light of the moon. There is still the light of the stars. And even on a cloudy night, after a few moments, our eyes get used to the darkness and we can still see even shadows, the outline of certain things. This darkness was so pervasive, was so all-encompassing that people were not able to see their hand in front of their face. And then we're told that was the first 3 days. Then we're told that lo kamu ish mitachtav shloshet yamim, that people could not get up from where they were. So pervasive was the second set of 3 days. This was a 6-day plague. And according to legend, the Midrash explains that people were frozen to the spot. If you were sitting down at that moment for the second set of 3 days, you were locked in place. If you were yawning, stretching, standing up, you were locked in place. People were paralyzed by this pervasive, palpable darkness that did not let people even move. It was terrifying. It was not just the absence of light, but a blanket, a fog that brought people to a paralyzed state. And this darkness isolated people one from another. This darkness created a fragmented people, a divided people. This darkness created an isolation and a seclusion. And as I use these words and as we touch on this language, I think you all realize that these last number of months, this last year, we have been under this pervasive fog of darkness. There was a hoshech, v'yamesh hoshech. You could even touch it. And tragically, what went along with this darkness is lo ra'u ish et achiv. One person could not see another. And I'd like to interpret that on the deepest level possible. Nobody could see their brother. Nobody could see their friend. Nobody could see their sister. Life suddenly became solitary. And the isolation each person was in was where we turned inward, we stopped turning outward, and we could never see the needs of anybody else. We cared about ourselves, cared about our own interests. We cared about our success, our own happiness. We cared about our own ego. And that intense egocentricity was the deepest darkness that can ever exist. As we start to emerge out of our own plague, the 11th plague, the coronavirus, we have to battle against a darkness that is still bi'amesh choshech, a palpable darkness that can still be felt. And that's the blindness of looking in, the blindness of only thinking of ourselves. Because lo ra'u ish et achiv, where we don't see or care about anybody else, that's actually the worst plague of all. May we merit to break free of this plague. And truly, quoting from the Megillat Esther, La Yehudim hayta ora v'simcha v'sason v'yakar, may there be for us light and joy, success and celebration, kein tiyeh lanu. May we all share in that. Amen.